Welcome, everyone. My name is Nadezhda Saim. I'm Marketing Director for Corporate Counseling Services. Our company is hosting this event today. And today we are talking about mental health as a strategic priority for organizations. Please, those who are joining still, let us know where you're joining from in the chat. A few quick notes from my side. So we aim for this online session to last for about an hour. And please do submit your questions into Q&A box because we will leave plenty of time at the end for our panelists to answer your questions. Probably before we jump into the discussion, the whole thing, why we are holding this online panel discussion today, because we as organization, we see that our organizations are really struggling in modern times today in terms of mental health and how to set up mental health programs and all the various questions. So we decided to actually give the floor to HR professionals today to discuss that. And yeah, some numbers that we come across, they prove the point. For example, World Health Organization is saying that 600 billion euro is the annual cost of poor mental health to European businesses. The Gallup's report that have been just released is saying that disengagement cost the world economy 438 billion last year. And if the global workforce were fully engaged, we could gain $9.6 trillion in productivity. So these staggering numbers tell us that investing in mental health perhaps isn't just the right thing to do. It's a smart business decision. Birger, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Nadia. So I'm your moderator, Birger. I'm based in Switzerland. I already mentioned that. I've worked for several health companies over the past 30 years, and I'm super excited of this event today. Actually, this is the second event we are holding in a series of events, and is based on the feedback we received on our first one. Actually, the feedback, the last event was about really clinical. We had our chief psychologist who was speaking about mental health in C-levels. And the feedback was, hey, why don't you give the word to leaders who are dealing with mental health instead of talking as a provider, which we're doing today. So I'm really excited. And by the way, when I look at the attendee list, there's a lot of professionals here. So I think the idea was a good one. Mental health has become a strategic topic for all of us, but we have to implement it. We have to deal with it. The world is full of crises, which we see in the press, but EHR leaders have them every day, right? So today is really about putting things into action, and what we're trying to do is to give the word to HR leaders. We encourage every other HR leader to post questions here, and to focus on a few questions around how organizations can put mental health as a topic into action, how to interact with internal or external stakeholders. External stakeholders might be providers like us, but it might be your CFO, it might be your employees. And last but not least, you may remember the title in our invitation is, how does it contribute to an organizational success, right? It's about people on one side, we'll hear that today, but it's also about, is it worth doing that from organizational perspective? So that was it for me. I now introduce our two panelists. I'm very proud to have convinced them. They're both based in Switzerland. It's not true. Marie is based in Switzerland and France. Barbara is based in Switzerland. So we have Marie Degler. She's an international senior HR partner at Growings, which is an HR consultancy. But she has been an HR leader for very large and multinational organizations in Europe, in the States, and in Switzerland, including Gavi Alliance out of Geneva, and International SOS, which is a Singapore-based company. So she has been implementing this for clients, but also for large teams. and is a leader really in HR development and transformation. Welcome, Marie. Thank you for joining.
Just a quick note, Marie Manin d'Ageler.
I didn't say your last name. I'm sorry.
Which is the most important.
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's part of my DNA.
Yes.
It's my
Yes. No.
I'm based in Lausanne.
Lausanne, right?
Welcome.
And we have Barbara joining us. Barbara is has been a head of HR or leader in HR for decades as well in Switzerland, working for previously international organizations, but since many years in the public sector. We won't name the name here because she's currently in transition. She's working in central Switzerland. And is managing a headcount between 300 and 600 employees. So she's joining us from a public sector experience in and sharing her 20 years of experience that she has gained in dealing with leaders, maybe internal, but also politicians, etc. So we had a few preparation calls. So welcome, Barbara.
Thank you.
And so
Thank you, Birger.
Back to Nadia. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, dear participants. We are really excited to kick off finally because we have a lot to cover today. We have compiled sort of topics around which we will structure our discussion because those topics are the most hot questions that we hear from HR community, from C-level executives. So the first and the foremost, why mental health belongs on the leadership agenda. Then we will move on and cover global versus local dynamics, private versus public dynamics of implementing mental health support programs. We are very lucky to cover all of these angles today with our amazing speakers. How to bring key stakeholders on board. What are emerging tools and trends that could support employee well-being? And last but not least, making well-being initiative last, so all about sustainability. So let's get started. Birger, over to you.
Simple question to the panelists to get it started. Mental health, it has been around for decades probably, but when and how did it become a boardroom topic?
Well, from my point of view, it has always been a boardroom topic, but maybe not as pronounced as after or during COVID. The famous interruption of all the businesses. So from my point of view, so really since COVID, it's become a regular topic, even on management meetings. I don't know, Marie, do you see?
Yeah, I'm fully aligned, Barbara. I think that mental health and well-being is just part of human being. And we've been human for more than decades, no surprise. And as a HR director, we've pushed a lot well-being way before COVID, post-COVID, intergenerations, VUCA world, and so on. But now it's really part of the boardroom discussions. It's really integrated. It should be. And we are much more hurt as HR director to move it to the next level.
Okay, so it has always been in the back in boardrooms. What has changed? You mentioned COVID.
It has not always been discussed at boardroom. HR have already and always wanted to make it a hot topic at boardroom.
Okay, so adding to this, or as a question as well, is it has been always with HR, and from my experience, having worked with HR, yes, you have this in your job description to take care about people, right? Now, in a boardroom, there's other people. There's CFOs, there's CEOs. Has it always been the same for them? And if not, or if so, what has changed in your interaction on the topic with leaders in your organizations?
Barbara, do you want to start?
I go ahead, yeah. So as I see it, the CEOs or CFOs are meanwhile more aware of the importance of this topic. And as Marie mentioned before, for HR leaders, it was always part of the game, but now also the awareness is finally in the boardroom. And also, if you're going to present new programs, or if you have the right KPIs, if you have the numbers, then you can convince CEOs or CFOs much easier than it was a few years ago, or pre-COVID. So if you go with the right numbers, if you have a solid strategy, then you will find acceptance within those teams as well, within those managed teams as well. I don't know. What do you think, Marie? Have you experienced the same, or is it different for you?
No, I've experienced the same within the companies I've been working in the corporate world. I mean, to name few, Gavi, International SOS, the Regis Group, whatever. But now I see it with my clients, small, medium, every sector. First, we are better than yesterday to collect the right number as HR professional. We are much more able to make sense to the numbers and to convince through money aspect. I mean, the change comes from the pain. We are now able as HR professional with technology, with more confidence, with power, to just show that numbers have a cost, and cost a lot on the EBITDA or EBIT of every company. And now leaders have no choice to sustain their business.
I fully agree on that. And even before COVID, we had some of the mental or only health programs in place, but the importance has changed, the awareness has changed, and for me as well, the KPIs we provide, they take them more seriously now, and this is why we can really implement strategically and in the corporate culture this topic. From my experience during COVID, we had the challenge of everybody in working abroad or home office, only a part of the people in the offices, and so the mental health topic became much more a focus, because people not being able to share their experiences, or just to talk to another, they got more challenges, or they faced more challenges being alone in their home. Maybe this is also part of the game, huh?
We have a comment here from Catherine, which I'm summarizing as follows. So she said that basically post-COVID, the working environment has changed. People stay less long. There's a multicultural differences as well. There's different ways of working, right? So the workplace has changed. Is that something you would confirm? And is that something that you or your CFO can measure and puts on your shoulders or on your shoulders or of the HR organization actually to deal with that? Because obviously people who are not in the office anymore, who will go on training, or who are just coming new and leaving tomorrow, are completely different. So how do you put actually numbers behind, or how do you measure a success of your initiatives?
Critical lever and dimensions that you are touching, Birger, and for the sake of time and sensitive to 1 hour, I'm going to make it short, but we could discuss it for hours, for days, and it's part of the next series of webinar we're going to put together. But anyway, to make it short, the VUCA world, the COVID, the young generations, the cost, the power of insurance, the confidence that us HR director have gained through the COVID to speak up, to voice, to evangelize the importance of well-being are all in all a very comprehensive rank of reasons why we are now talking seriously about healthcare, about duty of care, about well-being, about mental health, because we are putting numbers. When you go to the boardroom, and I've been one of the only woman in boardroom for years, and I was in charge of HR, engagement, and leadership, and finally come with numbers that your leaders can trust because they are accurate. And you say, okay, guys, you know what? If we are progressing on the mental health, if we are kicking off this journey and embed this journey within the leadership agenda, within people engagement agenda, it's gonna make you save 2.5 million USD just for the Europe region. Guess what, Mr. the CFO, Mr. the legal director of Europe or whatsoever, it started to resonate in them. Ah, it costs a fortune. Yes.
Leadership buy-in, right? You mentioned the C levels, right? There's other leaders in an organization. And I want you to share examples, maybe success stories, maybe failures as well that you have seen in your experience dealing with leaders. And maybe a second question attached to that is how, because you shouldn't be the only fighter in an organization as an HR, right? So what role can a C leader play to help HR or benefit or people managers getting a buy-in and driving initiatives?
Rebecca, I'm sorry, Barbara.
No worries. Go ahead, go ahead.
It's hot. It's a hot topic because, and it's a very hot weather, so it has an impact on my brain. Look at how environment impacts your cognitive abilities. It's a very pragmatic example. But the floor is yours, Barbara, and then I will take over.
Okay, thank you. So from my experience, the C-level people, they are crucial to get the money, to get the okay. But on the other hand, to implement mental health programs in the company, you need to have the buy-in of the middle management, because middle management drives the company culture. And if you achieve that mental health or general mental health topics are implemented in corporate culture, and you have like teams or ambassadors who raise this topic on a regular base, or who address people who they maybe they seem a bit down or not as cheery as usual. Then you really have the buy-in of the middle management, and it gets an implementation in the corporate culture, and you will never have to ask for money again, because it's just part of the game. Even if you already implement it in your onboarding process, when you make mental health or health as a topic part of the onboarding process, so not only new managers, but as well employees see, okay, this is a company who cares for me. Then you really get this buy-in on all levels, not only on the C level, but really throughout the company.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not going to dive into too much details and too many dimensions of the employee experience, because mental health and well-being is connected to every dimension of the employee experience, from the moment we onboard, we hire, we onboard, to the moment we support them leaving the company. But just on the a very comprehensive and broad level, I really want everyone to making sure that HR are not the only responsible of mental health. HR, I mean, it's my point of view, and I've always seen it this way. We are influencer, and one of my Gallup strengths is influence, by the way, talking about Gallup. But HR is influencer, is in charge. HR is leading a game-changing agenda just by facilitating. But everyone is responsible. Everyone is in charge of duty of care within the company, no matter the level, no matter the responsibilities, and no matter their expertise. Okay, so it's a very joint force team work within the company. But ultimately, the penal, the criminal, the legal responsibility, guess what? It's in the end of the leaders. So they need to show the example. Yet, healthcare, mental health is not a top-down strategy at all. We need to combine. If we influence power, management, young generation, senior, HR, working hand in hand with finance.
Marie, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, and I fully agree with Marie. And for me, it's super important that, well, even if HR is the department where health is situated, but everyone is responsible as well. If an employee has a good idea how to improve mental health or health as a general topic, they are happy to share their ideas, as well as the middle management, as well as the top level management. And in the end, if they feel responsible, if they feel a certain responsibility for not only themselves, but making it vital to care for their neighbors, to care for the people just sitting in another office, then it gets really a DNA of a company.
I think there's a consensus here that it is about culture, it's about organizations, about people. Now, let me be provocative. I've been working with organizations for years, right? And actually, yes, it's nice to have, but it's a cost. And especially every end of quarter, it becomes a cost, right? So let's imagine you have done a great job as an HR, you're fostering that communication, etc. How does this survive, right? And how does it survive not only to leadership change, but economic downtowns? And we are living difficult times these days, right? Especially when you look at certain Swiss organizations with the NGOs, etc. So what is your hint or your description of the reality on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a coach as well, and this is a discussion that I have in my coaches, leaders, is okay, it has a cost. I hear your point. Yes, it costs some money, but what's the cost of not working on well-being and mental health? What is the cost? And then let them think and reflect. And then I give them some few indicators about the real cost. The cost of turnover, the cost of reputation, employer branding. I could tell you and give you a lot of different dimensions of cost, because there are the visible costs that really hit your P&L, that really hit your EBITDA, but there are indirect costs as well that as HR professional, we need to clarify and explain and bring to their full understanding and give them rationale. We can only cope with emotional reaction with rational. That's human being. That's how our brain work.
Barbara, you're dealing with tax money.
Yeah,
what does cost mean to you?
I usually do remember or tell them a saying, which is usually used for salespeople. Imagine you have why to invest in training. Why should I invest in training in salespeople because they may leave afterwards? But imagine you don't train your salespeople. What would it cost you if you have non-trained salespeople? And this is for me, this is the same thing. This is the same concept. If you explain, okay, yes, there are some cost relations for sure, but on the other hand, what will you gain in employee retention? If you know the general numbers, if you have to replace one employee, it's 1 yearly salary and one annual salary. So imagine those costs, only one employee less, then you already can cover a part of the cost of your mental health program. So from my point of view, it's, as Marie mentioned already before, you have to explain them, you have to give them really something in hand which they can work with, share examples, share success stories. So they really can relate to this topic and to the costs, and in the end, agree to your program.
Robert, so what you say is make it a business case. And I think the calculation you just made is really easy to understand. So it's not about what you do, but what does it bring me, right? Or what does it avoid me to spend, right? So this is good. But again, to my question, right? You are in the public area, and I think, as far as I understand, you also deal with very regional setup, right? So you do not work for multinational, but for public sector. And the question related to Maria as well, from a multicultural perspective, right? What are the differences that you see, Barbara, in your world to what you think is happening in the international business, and Marie, maybe same thing.
I see that in a public environment, you have not only the business reputation or the reputation of a city or whatever, but as well there are people behind who have been elected, and they are evaluated as well. So they have a reputation to lose as well. If you get their buy-in, just to relate to before, then you even get easier the budget for your mental health program. But in the public sector, you really have these two separate topics. There's the reputation of the community, of the city, but on the other hand, there are people behind which maybe want to be elected again. And if you get them on board, if you get them as ambassador, then you really have a good baseline for your business case. Yeah.
Marie, multinational, different cultures.
Yeah, so first, because we spend a lot of time on cost, which is extremely important however, there are three dimensions to influence leadership. The first one is cost. It's rational. We need to speak to their brains, their rational brain. Mr. the Chief Financial Officer, I'm going to provide you with numbers because you are only influenced by numbers. That's really what matters to you. The second lever of influence is an emotional lever. You are the European leader, but before being a leader, before being a professional, you are a human. You are with needs. You need to take care of your self-care. How do you feel about the number of emails that you receive on a daily basis? Those type of very simple questions start leveraging their awareness. How do you feel about your daughter? How do you feel about your son 25 years ago entering the workforce and working with a toxic manager? You've paid his university. You care about your daughter. You care about your son, whatever. So it's a second lever. It's emotional. Emotional, rational. The third one is a social lever. The social lever is as simple as Barbara mentioned, as providing our leaders with numbers, with feedback, with a report on climate. It's a talk from their employees. What do your employees say about you as a manager? What do your employees say about your organization? What do they say about their well-being within your organization? And if you're not doing something, it's going to hit you very hard and painfully, because it's a risk of reputation in line. It's a risk of recruitment in line, the risk of turnover. And I'm adding even more now, more and more we see in contracts, so on, with providers, that they need to put their number and they need to put their specific action about what do we do as a company to ensuring that the mental health and the well-being of our people are managed well, are managed well to sustain the business, to sustain the reputation.
Well, I think I would love to continue this discussion. It's not that we are running out of time, but we have before moving to maybe technology innovation, how this may impact the whole topic, and maybe getting your advice as well on future trends and wishes maybe. Would you say that from a technical perspective, there is the tools in place to make your ideal world, as you are imagining it as an HR, and again, being provocative, to make it happen? Is there enough tools out there, internally, externally? Is there enough already, or is that still something that continues and requires your input as well for providers and to develop this?
Barbara, first, the floor is yours.
From my experience, there are a lot of tools in place, but in the end, and they are very helpful, like these telehealth apps or where the employees can just share their mood or whatever. That's all fine, but in the end, it's a human topic, and in the end, you always need to have this human consultant, internally or externally. Depends on your structure, depends on the size of your company, but in the end, the employee or whoever has to have a really a human contact person who he can share with his experiences and get advice from. And this will never be an AI or whatever tool from, but this is only my point of view. I don't want to say I'm right, but I still think this whole topic of health is always very related to personal contact.
Okay. Now moving, so you moved into technology already. So
I
yes,
just
go
want
ahead.
to add something. We are living in a paradox, and you all have kids, or most of you have kids, or you have nephews or whatsoever. Very stressful, mental health impacted because of technology, because of connection. We are all hyper connected. And the paradox is, the more stressful we are with technology, the more we are pushing technological assistance app whatsoever to manage mental health, to manage stress, to mitigate the risk. So that's a paradox. So to the point of Barbara, we need to think how alongside technology, it's very important technology, especially right now in a global VUCA type of environment. Yet we need to think about real connection, real interaction. Let's nail the basics. Let's go back to what really matters to humans. We are social animals. We need to train the manager on managing communication, on ensuring there is a non-toxic type of environment. And it's not through only technology that we will find the perfect answer. And there is no perfect answer. It's a tough question. It is a tough challenge. But funny enough, because I knew that you're gonna ask this question. So guess what I've done this morning using technology, EA. I say, okay, Google, Unilever, Microsoft, what are those type of huge companies, high-tech expert? I mean, I lived 7 years in Silicon Valley. I was dealing with them as my neighbor, blah, blah, blah. So what are those big players doing for mental health? And you know what? It's quite limited related on IT dimensions. It's very much focused on real relationship. Training manager implementing mindfulness, meditation, implementing the deep connection to IT on a regular basis to refresh your mind. And then I close the question. But again, we could talk about that for hours.
We can't. But there is a lot of room for questions here. What is the next challenge in health on the workplace from your perspective? What's happening next? And I'm just mentioning a few things that are already there, right? We do have crises. We do have individuals that have challenges that impact work, right? And I'm just quoting an HR director. Mental health broker I spoke with recently who said, well, this person is sick from a private reason. Why should that matter to me? But again, I leave it there. What is the next? What should companies really look at when looking at mental health? What is really the topic that can drive even internal buying? And I'm asking Barbara to start with, and maybe Marie.
Barbara first, and I will
yeah,
share my insights.
The challenge will be or is already what we are already facing is this hybrid working. You have the Gen Z, which is coming. For them is mental health a very substantial part of their life. They have other they expect other tools or expect companies to handle health topics differently than maybe 10 years ago. So, and this will be, or this is actually our challenge in HR to cope with the current development in our world, to get those facts integrated in our programs and get them or raise the awareness for those topics as well within the organization.
Marie, what's the challenge of the future?
Yeah, and probably my one of my closing message is and I'm talking and I'm sharing that with you as first as an HR director, of course, as a consultant, very much focused on employee experience, but first as a woman, as a mother as well. I have two fantastic children, 20 and 22 years. They are ending at the end of their business school studies, and they are very soon entering the workplace. And I'm also lecturing HR and leadership in different business schools in France and in Switzerland. So my answer is through the filters of all the different lenses. And if the one global comprehensive message is, let's put meaning, the sense of belonging, the sense of meaning back to the agenda of employee experience, back to the agenda of leadership, career development, and whatsoever. And the meaning, the sense of meaning, is a number one priority for the young generation. So let's reinforce the meaning. Let's invest in the meaning before investing on IT. Okay. What's the mission of the company? Why do I come every morning to work? And I'm happy to come. And because I'm happy and I'm feeling well, of course I'm performing well, which sustains the business and sustain my self-care. So meaning we need to balance global and local because of VUCA, because we're all working in a global type of environment. Yes, it's a global agenda. Yes, we're going to launch, and I've launched at international, so there's global initiatives. Yet, we are talking about human, and we need to take into consideration sensitivities, cultural sensitivities. In Germany, in Switzerland, in Dubai, in Mauritania, in Algeria as well. I've been in charge of HR for Algeria and Mauritania. And I can tell you that, of course, to influence and to ensure that I had the buy-in from the leaders, I needed to ensure that I was respecting their specific local specificities.
Marie,
Meaning
oh, sorry, go ahead.
global and local, and ensuring that the different generations understand each other and enjoy have fun, have a lot of pleasure working together. Intergenerational, meaning global yet local, intergenerational. If we think and if we focus on those three triggers dimensions, and we leverage on every of the three, leverage awareness on every of these three dimensions, and we keep the momentum going, and we keep our energy, dynamism, and everything, we put everything, it's gonna make a huge improvement.
Marie, thank you. I want to repeat what you said, but let me summarize it. There is no one size fits all. And by the way, when you look at the panelists, they are from all over the world. Morocco is different to India. India is different to Switzerland. Switzerland is different to Sweden. Just mentioning a few countries here. And there's young people, old people. There's big organizations, large organizations. There's public organizations, private organizations. And I think this is maybe, when I summarize what you and Barbara said, that's the challenge. So we see you nodding, but
let me share a very quick anecdote to you. 3 months ago, as part of the HR programs that I'm delivering for Vatel. Vatel is it's a global business school. So I have 25 years old students from all over the world. And that day, well-being, mental health was the main subject. And I asked everyone with their own cultural lens to bring something to share. And I had this fantastic moment from one guy from India who organized a sort of mindfulness session. Because mindfulness is just their breathing mindfulness. And it was fantastic.
Marie, I would love to continue, and we will continue. I'm pretty sure, Barbara, same thing. But we have to stop this. People have work to do, right? So we're conscious of time. We stop it there. There has been a lot of questions already coming in from the attendees today. I hand over to Nadia to wrap up and to maybe move to the Q&A session. If you still have questions to the audience, put them in chat here, send them via email, via LinkedIn, whatever. We'll try to cover them all. Nadia.
Yes, just to jump into Q&A because we still have some time. Good. So just on the point, Marie, which you were covering, now we have a question. How is the generational gap differences between boomers, millennials versus Gen Z and upcoming Gen Alpha impacting your organizational strategies around providing mental health services?
That's an excellent question. I love those type of questions. First, let me tell you that, again, before being 20 years old, before being 50, a leader whatsoever, we are first a human. And guess what? We all have the same needs. At 50, I gave permission to myself to think and to orient my career about meaning. What does make sense to me now at 50? My kids, my boy, who is 22, now is only focused on what makes sense to my career. So we just need to ensuring that we consider first the people, whatever generation, first as a human. And we need to making sure that they understand that they all have the same needs. They need to understand that 50 years old, the senior needs are the same. And we need to then make them that they understand very well each other. That's the first thing. It's leveraging awareness on being a human first before being a type of generation. Secondly, we need to feed. It may sound paradoxal, but that's the truth. We need to feed every generation with what they need. The young generation, it's meaning, it's fun, it's flexibility, and so on, conviviality, and so on. They're fully aware about what's a toxic type of environment. They know they're going to get and dig into the reputation of the employer of the company before accepting an offer.
Yes.
Okay.
We
And we need to feed the need for the senior. I'm a senior. And by the way, I love being a senior. I love being a senior female senior. And I'm teaching and I'm organizing workshop on that. But what's meaningful to us is to share. It's a transmission. And that's the reason why I'm a lecturer for 10% of my time. I love sharing. I love developing talents. I love developing potential. Okay. And how do you feel? How do you assess what are the respective needs of every generations? And then what do? We assess by having close connection. We assess by acknowledging that we are different needs at the time being. Um, we need to launch a climate people engagement survey and ensuring that we dig the report in any demographic dimension, and we set up a specific plan and we explain the plan to everyone on intergenerational approach.
Thank you very much, Marie. The next couple of questions, probably Barbara would be okay to answer. I hope so. This is concerning the middle management that you actually picked that point in the discussion. So how you deal with middle management in terms of convincing them, because obviously they are too preoccupied, busy to deal with these issues, while they are struggling to stay afloat on their own. And the other comment, which was on the chat, also, for example, you come up with a business case, all the stats, all pros, and then still denial. So what is your practical advice how to deal with this?
Well, let's start with the middle managers. I know the middle management, they have this sandwich function. They are not on top and they are not on bottom, and they are always short on time. But on the other hand, if their teams are suffering because a lot of people are ill or are not performing to their fullest, then they struggle even more. And if you make them aware, it's like with the top management as well, make them aware what they gain if they invest in mental health or taking care of their people, taking care of their teams. So they really see the success story behind, maybe even share success stories from other departments, how they dealt with different cases, what they learned about, how they implemented different strategies, and that really helps to convince them that it's a main topic. Yeah. Well, and on the other hand, sorry, what was the second question? It was not related to the middle management, was it?
Well, it's sort of related to all managers that you're trying to convince. So you build the business
The selling
case,
point.
yes, and there's still a denial. So
Yeah.
yeah, fine, but okay, we won't do
Well,
anything about it.
go back, research more KPIs which are more relevant or which are maybe have a different relevance, not even more or less relevant, but a different relevance. Check out what is the strategic goal of the company and align your business case with the strategic goals to sell the business case even better next time. And don't give up.
Thank you very much. So there's a question from Gitsufiro. What measurable behaviors have been observed in organizations in relation to mental health deterioration, both at the managerial and executive levels? For example, reduction in sales quotas, longer response times to customer requests, absenteeism. Perhaps for both of you to comment quickly on that.
Can you summarize the question, because I'm lost. Too many points. Just summarize and let's dig in every points.
Yes, so the question is broadly touches upon the how do you measure? Yeah, so what measurable behaviors? For example, there is a reduction in sales performance, or a longer response times to customer requests, or absenteeism as a result of poor mental health within an organization. So, what are your comments on this?
Barbara, do you want to speak first?
No, go ahead. I think it's more a global thing than a local business.
Okay, so first, it's a very, very, very excellent question. So thank you. If we are not able to measure, we're not gonna succeed in that type of agenda. Measurement, so setting up the right KPI, setting up how we're gonna measure, how we can influence, how we're gonna keep the momentum is critical. So guess what? I've been years working on how to measure with corporate organization, with my private client, and I'm teaching my students how to measure. Few simple ways to measure is first, we need to embed this agenda into the performance agenda. So we need to ensure that KPIs on well-being, behavior, bad behavior are observed and will have an impact on the performance, on the bonus at the end. So let's connect the dots. My favorite expression first. And I can give you specific, I'm happy to have a private conversation with the person who has raised this question. And the second answer is, so let's KPIs, way to measure, timing to measure, connect measurement to different dimensions of performance and other related HR, and making sure that measurement numbers, return on investment are shared in the boardroom. Keep the momentum about, okay, celebrate, and also ensuring that we never stop the momentum on leveraging and speaking about the added value, the return on investment of any initiatives, any investment on mental health. And it could be as simple as ensuring, and I've done that, I've implemented that international SOS, Birger, you may remember, is organizing town hall meeting led by the leaders, share success story, share what is not a success story, which is not okay. This type of behavior is not okay. It has impacted whatever dimension of the business. It's celebrating and recognize the success and what's good as well. Okay.
Thank you,
So
Mary.
again, it's change management. How do you drive change management? Because we are talking about change management on the mental health, okay, is make sense to the why. The why is
No.
setting up KPIs, it's monitor, it's celebrate, and it's keep the communication internally. Full stop.
Yes, thank you very much, Marie. Any comments from Barbara? Just before Barbara, you move on. We are running out of time a little bit, so if everybody is happy to stay for a couple of more minutes, then we will try to respond to more questions because they're really great questions, and we would like to talk about them. Now over to you, Barbara.
Thank you. Well, I agree with Marie. You really have to make the right KPIs and maybe use the right language. If you're talking to a salesperson, talk sales language. If you're talking to a person who is working, a blue collar worker, a team leader of blue collar worker, talk differently. Why this is important and which numbers he should watch. Absenteeism is always a good number to start with, as well as the retention of the people, the turnover of the people. So they really get the feeling where is my influence, where is the point of influence where I can achieve the most for my team. When we're talking about middle management, the upper levels are interested on all those topics for sure. So then maybe do a wrap up as Marie already mentioned, get this sensibility for this topic and drive this change management to mental health performing company.
Thank you very much. As we are running a bit out of time already, so the last question, if mental health is such an important strategic element for leadership, why not build it into the overall management job description with mandatory trainings and support tools in place for managers? Great question. Barbara,
Yeah.
maybe you first.
Yeah. Well, this is maybe goes a little bit in that direction what I mentioned earlier. If you implement mental health trainings already in the onboarding process, then it's part of not only the job description, but it's part of the being part of this company. And for me, this would be a great idea. I'm going to check out if it's feasible in future. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for this input.
Yes, true. Marie,
And
any last comments, concise?
yeah, again, it's connecting mental health to performance and sustainability of the business. So every job description of leaders should have a KPI on mental health, well-being of their team members. Every bad and non-acceptable behavior should have an impact on the performance. Okay, so connect performance to leadership expectation and job description. Being a leader, look at competencies, is also ensuring that the mental health of their team is it's at the right level. No mental health, no performance. It is as simple as it is.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. We really appreciate all the discussion, dear panelists, and also all the great questions that were coming through. And unfortunately, we ran out of time completely now, and we need to wrap up, but we are staying here for you, of course. And today we have touched only probably the tip of the iceberg of all the questions and all the points that are hot on the agenda for executives who are considering mental health programs or maybe implemented already and struggling with some points still. So we remain here for you to answer these questions as organization. Of course, our website, probably Caroline will drop here into the chat is for you to use. And of course, all of us, dear panelists, are happy to connect on LinkedIn. And we will continue our series of webinars where we will cover more questions, and we will announce that for sure soon. In the meantime, wishing you all a great day, and thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Take care of yourself. Take care of your self-care.
And have a great day ahead.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.